Good morning, students. Today I come up with a poem named Animals. It's in class 10 of First Flight. The poem is written by Walt Whitman. Today in this video, I will share with you the writing style of the poet Walt Whitman, and I'll give also a short description of the poem. The message that the poet wants to give through this poem, that message I will discuss with you. So, before reading the poem, before reading the introduction to the poem, who was Walt Whitman? Walt Whitman was an American poet. He's famous for writing free verse, writing in free verse. Even Walt Whitman was considered the father of free verse. Now, what is this free verse? Verse means poem, and free means which doesn't have any restrictions or any particular pattern. Whatever poem till 9 we have read, we find there is a particular rhyme scheme. So rhyme scheme means, as you find in the last word in a line, if the last word of a line will match with the last word of next line or so, then it's perfectly rhyme with the lines perfectly maintain the rhyming pattern. Sometimes we are even in the questions, students are asked to find out the rhyming scheme. So we find the rhyming scheme by AA, BB or AB, AB. This is a rhyming pattern or rhyming scheme. The moment we find the rhyming scheme in the poem, that means the poem contains a particular rhythmic pattern. A particular rhythmic pattern means there must be a restrictions, there must be a particular rules of writing the poetry. The poet has written the poem such a way in which the rhyming scheme can be maintained, and there is a particular those words in the last line or the word in the at last in every line having a particular pattern. That means there must be a restrictions. The moment we talk about rhyming pattern or rhyming scheme, there must be a restrictions or limitations in which the poet has to write the poem. But the moment we talk about free words, that means the poem is free from any such particular rhyming pattern or rhyming scheme. That means there is no such rhyming scheme. It's free from all this traditional style. So Walt Whitman in his poem Animals also shows such free words. Although free verse, the poem having that free verse must have such sound effect, but it does not have the particular fixed rule of writing the poetry. And that's why Walt Whitman broke the traditional way of writing poetry, and he coined the term free verse. Now, what is free verse? If we call it free verse, what is it actually? Free verse is a literary terms that can be defined as poetry that is free from all limitations or restrictions of regulars, rhyme, or rhythm. Such verse does not rhyme with fixed forms. Such poems are without rhythm or rhyme schemes, yet it provides artistic expression. In this way, the poet can give his own shape to the poem. So it is a new term, and the poem, that's why the poem has a unique pattern or unique style throughout the poem. So that is the free verse. We do not find any particular rhythmic scheme. Now, if we talk about, after finishing this one, if we talk about the introduction to the poem, what is the poem Animals is all about? Walt Whitman shows here also shows his uniqueness by writing or articulating this poetry in which he also breaks the pattern of normal thinking. We human beings always consider ourselves as a top of any cycle. That means animals, if we consider human beings with animals, it's confirmed that we are at the top. But the poet Walt Whitman, in his poem Animals, shows that animals are far better than human beings. In the poem, he shows few qualities of human beings which were earlier lying with human beings, but somehow we lost those qualities, and habitually those qualities were taken up by the animals. And that's why the animals have become better than us, means human beings. So, although we are rational, we have the thinking capacity far better than the animals, but due to lacking of such qualities that the poet has shown in the poem Animals, we find, we must find rather, the animals are much better than us. So, throughout the poem, he shows some qualities. Walt Whitman, in the poem Animals, has shown the comparison between animals and human beings. He has pointed out the evils present inside human brain, which he thinks animals do not have. That's why he thinks that animals are much better than human beings. Now, if you talk about a wild animal and, for example, a simple minded man, and if you talk about the brain or thinking capacity of that wild animal and that simple minded man, then we must find the brain or the thinking capacity of that simple man is not simple. Rather, that simple man's thinking capacity is much more complex. Even the wild animal, despite having the violence or wild nature within it, that wild animal must have the simple thinking process, which the human beings do not have. Since human beings have the complex mind and complex nature, that is why we or human beings often find the difficulties in leading life. We never take the life as a simple one, and that's why we think much. We even compete with other human beings to reach to the top. But animals do not generally do so, and that's why they are much more satisfied. But human beings are not. Even human beings feel pity of his wrongdoings, but animals may not think about their wrongdoings. Even that's why we are sometimes comparing ourselves with other to find the best one, and that's why we are never mentally satisfied. But animals do not have such thinking, excess thinking capacity, and that's why they are good in their own quality, in their own region. So, animals are satisfied within themselves, but human beings are not. But earlier, human beings were much more self satisfied. They do not go for competition. Such quality earlier were lying with the human beings, which somehow lost or dropped. And those qualities, those rather good qualities, were taken up by the animals, and this way, by taking up those good qualities of human beings, animals become much more uh, good or better than human beings. So, throughout the poem Animals, Walt Whitman has shown the readers the animals are much better than human beings due to certain qualities which were earlier with the human beings, but somehow the animals have now those qualities, and that's why they're leading much better life than us, than the human beings. That is the main uh, message that the poet has given through different style and different words. If you read the poem, then we can get the meaning. So today I just give the introduction of the poem and the poet's writing style, particularly the free verse. What is free verse? So in the next video, I must discuss the line wise, the summarize the poem line wise, and at the same time I will give some meaning of the unknown words, and also the figure of speech hidden within this poem. Till then, thank you.